Teddy knew this, and so for Scotty to turn up, when he turns up to the tournament, he doesn't even go to the range. He just goes straight into the truck. We go upstairs. We now have a meeting.
Okay.
He goes, I think I need a 5 wood. Teddy's like, yeah, like,
Yeah, game on.
come on,
Yeah.
keep going, keep
Yeah.
talking, keep going. Tell him what you need. Tell him what you need.
Episode 295 of the Fully Equipped podcast. I am here. This is I don't even know how to say who Adrian is to me. Yeah, I guess he's my colleague, my dear friend, my fitting tour mentor, my information guy, my deep thinker, talker. I don't know how else to describe him. But we have TaylorMade. We're going to call him tour rep, sports marketing manager, all these hats that he
Hmm.
wears for TaylorMade, but also the man responsible for the bags of Scottie Scheffler for one, Tommy Fleetwood, and many, 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 many others. Adrian, say hi to the crowd at Fully Equipped. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks, Johnny. Thanks for having me on. It's not. I try not to do too many of these, but I just can't resist your invitation.
Well, I don't know where I don't know where to start. First of all, congratulations, and I know you didn't hit any of the shots, but obviously you are a big part of that of the Scottie Scheffler journey, which we're going to go in deep into.
Yeah,
But the first question I want to ask, where it's Tuesday, so this happened one Sunday afternoon. He won the
yeah.
Open Championship. Um, Quickly, have you had a chance to talk to him since it went down? Have you had a chance to text with him or anything, correspondence at all?
No, no. As you can imagine, that's not the way he rolls. What what normally will happen is with 2 or 3 days after afterwards, I'll get a message on my phone where he you know says says thanks to us and very appreciative of everything that we do, and the journey goes on. I was
Yeah,
actually
that's. I
looking.
mean,
I was actually looking at when, as you can imagine, he's a man of very few words on text message, and when I was going through like our messages to each other on my phone, there's a lot of, "Hey bud, congratulations on the win."
yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it's like a steady stream of like, way to go, keep it up, good job.
It's like what just trying to I
Yeah,
can't
like
quite put this in I can't quite put this into words, but I think what is cool is that um the every every time, or should I say most of the time, there's something significant or something small or unique that we did, or in the run up, which made the difference for him, or gave me my little bit of, whatever that is, 1% contribution to the success. And I take that quite well. That for me is, whether it's 1%, whether it's more, whatever it is, it's good to know.
well, and this is where, like, I guess I kind of built a career off of who run the tour reps, because I know how important you guys are to the
Yeah,
ecosystem. And some people might think that you're not hitting any of the shots or whatever, but these days I will say, and I feel like I'm an authority on being able to say this. It's a collective, meaning yes, he's hitting the shots, but there's decisions made around a player that are kind of like ideas, and that's what I call them, ideas. It's not like the player
yeah,
showing up and going, I need this head, I need to set up this way or this and that. Like, they put full trust in the fact that you guys know what you're doing and he knows what he's doing.
yeah,
So, and I learned a lot of that through watching Rom and Kellen and Xander and Kellen, and I know, and Joe Toulon and those guys as well. Like,
sure, sure.
I know there's an element to what they do that's extremely important. Now, do I think that those guys could have been successful without them? 100%. But there's little things that you guys do that
Hmm.
do make a difference. So if I was going to go back, and I do want to start from the beginning with Scotty, from when you first started working with him, and it was before he
Yeah,
signed with you guys. There's some stories, but there was an interesting stat. Like, every single time he makes a big gear change, he's gone on to win a bunch of tournaments, right? So he switched,
Yeah.
he switched irons and he won a bunch of times. Then he switched putters and won a bunch of times. And I think
Yeah.
he put the 7 wood and won a few times. There's all these little shifts, which is where
Gotcha.
the reps you come into play. It's like, well, I kind of, I had something to do with it. I kind of offered up the info. So to walk me through that part, like, how you feel about some of the changes that he's made, and what do you think are the most important ones that he's made since you started working with him? Like, what are the three like pillars of equipment changes he's made that really made a difference?
I would say, that's a great question because uh, you know, so I remember when we basically got the kind of green light that Scotty had accepted the partnership with TaylorMade, um, and it wasn't announced. So we all knew in house, we all knew, the work that we had put in had got us to a point where, he was choosing us as his people. And that was before he had even won. It was but literally by a week. And then he went on that run, where I think it started at Waste Management, um, and literally like 2 weeks later we announced partnership with Scottie Scheffler, and everybody went, oh, now that he's winning, everybody wants to sign a winner. But that, that was a done deal, before you could say this all started. Um, Significant, so again, we're a company that, as you can see, it's pretty clear to see our strategy. It's very top of the pyramid stuff. It's quality over quantity, um, and we when it comes to these players, and Ron, Ron would be the same. I'm sure Xander would be the same, and all those guys. You you can see them doing a lot of work on site at tournaments, but that doesn't come close to the work that they do behind closed doors and away from. You know, I remember when Ron was with TaylorMade on his route to number one in the world, and he would he lived in Phoenix, and he would check in at the Kingdom, and get his putter dialed in and everything. And the amount of times that he went on to win after that in Europe or on route was it was mind blowing. But you would have thought that he just turned up and won the tournament, but the work that he's put in behind closed doors. So just back to your question there. So I would say the the original Stealth driver was very significant. Um, Again, very it's clear to see Scotty's discipline when it comes to equipment. It's we took when that product came out, and we were it was time for us to go and do player testing, time for us to target specific regions in terms of getting that feedback. Dallas was obviously a big part of that, and the idea was, okay, you know this is carbon face. This is new. This is red. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So, so,
remember.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's the TaylorMade way, right? And we just turning up with a flight bag full of options was not the way. Was not us turning up in our best way. And so we decided that we were going to take the tour truck to certain stops around the US, and get some significant testing and work in with players. Scottie Scheffler was obviously an extremely high target for us when you looked across the board at like who was available, and in our data and our analytics, which a guy named James Cornish runs exceptionally well at TaylorMade. Um, what he's done for Rory has been phenomenal. Um, Scotty Scheffler would always come out as like the unicorn, right? Who's the best
Right.
player that doesn't have an affiliation? Who's the young gun, right? So I had built a I'd built a relationship with Scotty Scheffler to some degree, to a point that he gave us the time in Dallas where our tour truck was to come and hit some drivers with us, hit some fairway woods with us. Um, he played our irons. Um, I think he was still in the 730s at the time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that I'm trying not to like make this drag out, but significant time number one was literally the first time he hit stealth one. Hand on heart, mate. Hand on
Right.
heart. The very first shot he hit versus his ping was 4 miles an hour quicker on ball speed. That's it. That was the
Right out of the
only
gate. Yeah.
that was the only variable on TrackMan that actually beat the ping on that first shot.
Right.
Forget start line, forget spin rates, forget everything that you want, right? And then he hit the second shot, and that was 4 miles quicker. And then he hit the third shot, and that was 4 miles quicker. And then it was like a stop, everything just stopped.
Right.
Um, and we continued to work for 3 hours after that because that was something that he was not willing to not explore. That was not, and even and to that point, Johnny, he, even we did a bunch of fairway woodwork that week as well, which didn't even touch the surface in terms of us thinking that it had a chance of going in his bag. Um, but I'll tell you now, even leaving that session between, which was kind of end of year time, call it November.
Okay, and I did want to take a moment to interrupt this show to bring you attention. Something we're very proud of is our TCommerce. If you want a logoed, fully equipped golf.com logoed merchandise from Grayson, G4, multiple companies, you want the cool stuff with the fully equipped logo, go to our TCommerce section of the site. A lot of cool stuff in there. Obviously, I don't have any of it on right now. I just didn't have time to put all that stuff on, but there's some cool logoed stuff in there, and I'm working tirelessly to liven it up even more than it already is. So make sure you guys check that out if you want all the fully equipped golf.com branded logo gear. T-commerce is where you'd find it. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, that was
To
so where that was because I remember, and sorry to interrupt you, but this is actually kind of to your
Mhm.
point.
Yeah,
With everybody was after Scotty Scheffler at that point. I remember being with Callaway. There was talks about
yeah,
we were sending him 3 woods and irons, and everybody was in the game. Ping was trying to get him. You guys were trying to get him,
yeah.
and the and I can, somebody that was around it and kind of in the middle of it, meaning in a weird way, like, kind of hearing the chatter and seeing it from Callaway's perspective. The ace that some of these companies like you, I guess what made it easier is the fact that he wasn't going to change balls, at least anytime soon. So you could literally put that to the side because he was pretty dang clear to everybody. I'm not changing golf balls. Like, no matter
He's
what you
not.
do,
He
I'm not
wasn't
changing
changing.
balls.
And to be honest, he wasn't changing anything.
No,
I mean,
no,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like between that day's testing and the follow up stuff that we did to when he turned up at Amex and put the driver in play, we still didn't know if he was going to play it or not. He
because
he, he kept
you
he,
guys signed him to a driver deal at first, right? Wasn't it just a driver deal? Like, wasn't it just a Metalwoods deal or something? It wasn't. I mean, you don't have to go
no,
into it far, but it was a full
no,
bag. Okay, it was a full thing. Okay,
yeah,
just okay, just
yeah,
making sure. Okay, keep going.
yeah, no, buddy.
Okay,
It was yeah, no, and it was yeah, it was a deal on we were talking about partnerships that we want to create over the next 10 years,
right.
15
Isn't that
years,
funny though? How isn't this funny though, Adrian? How arranged chatter. Because when it happened, everybody's like, "Well, it's like a driver deal." Everybody's just like, "Yo, it's not like a full bag deal. It's just like a driver deal, right?" Like that. That was the chatter that was going across
Mm.
the range for
Well,
the
then they
rest
would have
of
said,
the big,
then I guess they should have said driver bag deal, I guess.
or
But yeah,
whatever. But yeah,
whatever,
okay, keep going,
whatever
keep
it's
going. You're
whatever
cooking.
it's
Yeah,
worth,
yeah, you're
whatever it's
cooking.
worth, mate. But
Yeah,
you look at like Sergio was with us for 15 years or whatever, Justin Rose 18, 17 years. That's the family that you're working towards, right? But anyway, yeah. So that goes in. Um, yeah, call it the rest is history. That year, that got to we got to the match play, which
Hmm.
was that was when he put the fairway wood in for the first time. He had the Nike fairway wood came out, and
Yeah,
then
I
again,
remember that.
I think another significant like milestone was probably that as well, where he really gained. We really gained some trust there because I remember him coming to me in the locker room and saying, um, that fairway, he was basically said, that fairway, I think I'm going to use it this week. It's in my locker. I just need the grip changed, and the head's got a rattle in it. It's basically what he said. I was like,
Okay,
I
yeah,
was-
fair
I'm
enough.
like, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to grab it. Rush off to the locker room. Struce Bob, he's hit it so much and he's grinded with it so much that the grip literally had a tear in the bottom of it,
Right,
and the head had a rattle in it. And so I go, basically change the grip, and I'm weighing grips to make sure the swing weight gets right, and I kind of get the rattle out of the head. Just get it all set for him. Meet him on the range. 3 shots. Yep, that'll do. That'll work. And that week he won, and that
hmm.
week he became number one in the world. Was
Wow.
it?
But like to be, and this is the hard part for the people that are listening. When companies are making decisions like that, so if you're chasing Scottie Scheffler, for example,
Yeah.
like a player like that,
Hmm.
nobody at TaylorMade, nobody at Callaway, nobody at Ping, nobody saw this coming. Like there
No.
was there was no metric, there was no wise man in the sky that was like that's the guy. Like it's and it's not a happy accident. And he's literally that good.
No.
If you
No.
go now if you, but it's like it's funny how that works out, right? Like you have this guy that you're like this is a fun addition to our roster with Rory and all these big names, and then you have no idea that this guy's
You
going to
got it.
absolutely stampede over everybody for like 5 years. Like,
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, the answer to your question then is like, I think of this in like the NIL world now, right?
mm-hmm.
And all these companies, and across all sports in NIL, you kind of wrestle with, what is the true value of this player, right? Oh,
Right,
what do you pay golfers? What do you pay beach volleyball players? And people will come up with an average. This is the average. This is what kind of contracts are out there, right? If you if
right.
you knew if you knew if we knew then what we know now, you know what I mean? And then, like I said, imagine Tiger Woods in his first year at Stanford, negotiating an NIL deal. The baseline is out the window. If
Oh my
if if
god.
you so Tiger's at college, and what if you knew then what you know now? He's
Oh my
priceless.
god. His NIL would have been. That's actually kind of a fun experiment. It's like
Yeah.
you take somebody like Tiger or Rory if he would have gone to college. Like, what's Rory's NIL look like? Like, no one coming off the back half of that. I mean, it's like Tigers would have to be. I mean, I can't put a. How
Well,
do you put a
I mean,
number
I
on
mean,
that? I
what would
mean, it's like
you can't? It would be equivalent to. It would be equivalent to football. It would be equivalent to college football for one person.
that is a
For
wild question.
yeah, for exactly, man. For one, because it's because as time goes by, you would have a lot of people like kicking themselves, wishing they didn't sh didn't
Yeah,
did, didn't well, why didn't I throw the kitchen sink at this anyway?
yeah,
Yeah, it's
dude. That's funny. That's funny. I do want to get into and we're going to get back to the last part because you mentioned a couple of interesting things. Obviously, the driver was big, and the fairway. I remember that. I remember that when you put the fairway
I would
wood
say,
in. I
yeah,
totally
you
remember
you
that.
asked for three things. The third one would probably be moving him from Stealth 2 into
In
QI10.
QI10, yeah.
That was not
So,
that was that was when I truly realized that the product, there's no ways that a player like that, or and this goes for quite a lot of players, will ever choose to move into a product unless it's for the right reasons.
So walk me through this really quickly, because I'm actually, this is,
Hmm.
I've never really asked you this.
Yeah,
So like I know, for example, because I've been around it and I've been in the testings and stuff like that. I know if I'm standing there and I'm watching Rom and Xander
yeah.
specifically, because I've been there when all that shit goes down. Specifically for Scottie Scheffler, you're standing on a range and it's a testing session. You guys got to end up somewhere, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
What does a driver need to do to get him to be like, okay, this is ready to go? Like, just stick to the range for now. Like, what does it take for him to take it off the range and go, okay, this is good enough to go on the course now, and assume
Uh,
that it's going to
uh,
work out on the course? But from a numbers perspective, what does it need to do? Like,
uh,
what does the
So,
driver need to be able to do?
so are we, and let's use his current game as a baseline,
Sure,
right? Which
sure,
is fine. So at the moment versus his current gamer, it's got to go. It can't go left, not even
okay.
once. It cannot. It's gone if it is. It's can't go left, not even once. The visuals are extremely important. It's almost like won't hit it, won't even see what it does unless visuals are perfect. And there's a lot to
So
be said.
that's really quickly. So for argument's sake, like he uses a blue face on his driver, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
he's always been one that he likes to see. He plays low lofted driver, but he needs to still see loft,
you got it.
right? Okay,
Yeah,
so that's what you told me that like a year and a half
yeah,
ago. Like the reason why he likes the blue face is because he can
yeah.
see some face, right?
So
Okay,
so
keep going.
so 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 needs so club needs to look up right to him, needs to stare at him,
Hmm.
needs to see face. Now
Yep.
at like 7.5, 8 degrees loft, that's not easy to come by. Needs to see face. Can't be open. Can't Needs to see it pointing. Pretty square
Towards
down the
his left
line.
shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but like you can't. So it can't. You can do that by making the club flat and closed, but it
Hmm.
has no. You can't. But for him, then it goes left, right? So it's got.
Right.
You're talking about upright square. Needs to see face. Bug location so we have the bug on top of the driver.
Right.
So those bugs. You know. Like everything from shafts to sleeves to grips, everything has a fraction of a tolerance, right?
Sure.
1 millimeter this way, 1 millimeter this way, 1 gram, yeah. That he can tell where that bug is and whether he likes it or not. So you got to you're checking that. So now you turn to kind of ball flight characteristics, right? So
Right.
Congo left needs to match or better ball speed,
Okay.
needs to, his spin rates have gone up a little bit on what he doesn't mind looking at. So his spin rates are now probably at the 2,400 mark.
Okay.
Whereas, in the earlier days, they were around the 2,200 mark. So,
Right.
but we can't get anything spinning. I'm talking about like the high spinning kind of shot,
Right.
the high end of the spectrum. You can't have anything spinning 27 or up. They've just got to
So
hold
he's
that
he
spin
lives
dick.
he lives at 23 to 2600 RPMs, like right
Yeah,
right in there.
yeah.
You're
At the
okay.
moment,
I got
yeah.
you.
At the moment, so if you showed him those things, he would be comfortable. He would, he'd be comfortable with that. And I can talk to you
What is
about
he? What
a,
is what does he launch? What does he launch it at? Like, because he's got. I mean, what does he got? He's got his stock shot, which is kind of that little, that kind of hard
yeah,
cut. Then he's
mhm,
got the squeezy cut that he'll hit, which he'll tee it a little low and kind of pinch it off the ground. Then he
yeah,
hits that
yeah.
big rope. You know what's funny is him and Rombo kind of have the same shot
Exactly.
pattern, meaning like
Right.
like
So
they're
so
very
in
similar. Like they have the big rope hook and they have. Okay, keep going.
So in launch and spin characteristics, he is compared to his peers and other players out there. He is a low launch, low spin player.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he's a low launch, low spin player, and he can work from there. He can spin it
Okay.
more. He can cut it more. And when you look at the shape that Rom, yeah, I like when you said Rom. I'd say that for the launch angle that Rom puts on it, he does like the spin to hold pretty low, I
Right.
would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because Scotty's angle of attack I mean, obviously on the driving range is one thing, but on the golf course, like you can tell, like he's not hitting up on it much. Like he's got to be
No.
one up, zero, one up, maybe even one down if he's humming.
Can you
Like,
still see me there? I'm bringing up this TrackMan app on
oh,
my
okay,
iPad. Yeah.
okay. This is the kind of stuff that people like, AD.
So
And
yes,
and
so yeah, I've got like just out of interest here. I just want to show you something here. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13 drivers hit in a row.
okay,
The spin loft number is within 0.2 of a degree of each other, right?
wow,
Okay,
wow.
so the launch angle moves from 10 degrees to 14 degrees in
Okay,
those shots. So so the reason I say that is because spin loft is basically you do angle of attack versus the loft that you're hitting the ball with, right?
right.
Um, so he's producing the exact same delivery every single time.
Right.
However,
The launch is going.
he's moving the launch, he's hitting shots. The ball doesn't, the ball doesn't know like
So
what's
the only
hitting,
way to
type of thing.
the only way to do that for the folks at home is either ball position. So that's a ball up, a ball back, a ball this, a ball that, or tee height. Are the two different ways you can with a
Yeah,
driver. It's only two different ways you can do
he's
that.
literally moving. Yeah, so he's probably only so spin loft is your number one influence on spin rate. Obviously, impact
Right.
location, and he would hit it pretty flush every time. So he's basically hitting an array of shots with the same spin rate, the same.
But
He's picking different start
different
lines. He's picking
different
different.
windows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen
See,
that. I've never
I've
seen that.
never seen that like that. The only time I've ever heard anything like that was again because you can compare them. You can. I mean, Rombo and Scotty to me are very similar creatures. If in the air, the ball in the air is very similar, right? So Rombo did a test. I think it was Paradigm or Rogue. I forget what driver it was, but they went. We were at ECPC, and he hit 15 drivers in a row, and his standard deviation between the 15 drives for spin was like 250 RPMs, and the
It's crazy.
ball speed was like a mile and a half or something like
Yeah.
that after 15. I mean, it was like even you know him, like he plays off like he doesn't notice this stuff, but he kind of turned around and we're kind of looking at him like he had two heads. And he's like, I hit it really good for like 10 minutes. We're like, how did that look? And we're just like, oh my God, dude. It's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So I got to ask you a question because all the gearheads want to know this, and they'll kill me if
Mhm.
I don't ask the question. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of chatter. So you guys have QI 35 out this year, QI 10 last year, and QI 35 in the stores at retail for in the consumer levels is doing extremely well. It's been a
Yeah.
very, very, very successful driver. On
Amazing,
tour,
really.
yeah, on tour with your bigger names, Rory doesn't use it, Scotty doesn't use it, yada yada yada. And
Hmm.
I kind of want to. I've tried to explain this to the masses. I need you to explain it. Like tour clubs, like QI 35 not going into Scotty's bag or Rory's bag this year, for example.
Hmm.
And all it means is that the guys that player specifically comfortable with one driver head in a certain shot and just isn't willing to part with it to get into the new model, right? I mean, that's the easiest way to explain it, right? I mean, it's not like the driver. Can you just walk in simple terms, walk people through that? I know the answer, but I just want to hear it from a professional's mouth.
So, the way the look, first and foremost, expecting every player every year to change a driver,
It's
every year
unrealistic.
is it's not the way we work, and we're not
No.
we're partners, and we're in the we're in the game of being comfortable and winning golf tournaments, and helping the players perform to the best of their ability using our equipment and our people. So timing, I'll just split them up pretty straightforward here, right? With Scotty Scheffler's got a QI 35 that I have not seen a bad shot hit with.
Right.
He's got it. And the next time you're on tour and he's playing and you come with me, we'll walk to his locker and I'll show you that club because he carries it around with him, right? Um, Scottie Scheffler's driver failed at a major championship. We were so prepared for that moment, in terms of his options on what he felt comfortable using that week.
Right.
Because we had put in the work, and one of his options was a QI 35, and one of his options was a backup QI 10. He's just about to play in a major championship, which he wins.
Right.
You know, when he called me, and just and let me know that his driver had finally, had failed. He made it clear to me that the stage and the situation called for him to have a cool head and go with what he knows in tournament play, and we were ready for that.
Right.
He was ready to go. We did half an hour, maybe I'd say an hour of work over the Monday going into Tuesday on the driver, and he was
Mm-hmm.
good to go. Um, so
Right.
so 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 but so time. So what I'm saying, yeah, is he's then gone on to win the tournament. There's no reason for him to change, for us to expect him to change anything after that. As he goes on to continue to win another major at the Open, we've made the right decisions. There's the so product probably maybe a little too equal. Should I say that?
Sure. No, that's
Uh,
fine.
yeah. It's got to be better, I guess. But also, when a club's got um uh when it's got wins in it and it's got a great year in it in 2024 and it's got majors in it, and I'll say that counts for a little bit, but when he went from Stealth 2 to QI 10, he wasn't holding on to that Stealth 2 because he had had such an amazing year winning the Masters with it. He identified performance gains in the QI 10, and the rest is history, right? And then, you're looking at Rory. I think in QI 10 that was probably one of the I've never seen, when we go back to Rory getting into that product, I would say I've never seen him fall in love with the product
That fast.
that fast, and
Right.
that became, and that look when Rory's driver finally got to the end of the road, he had used that driver for 18 months. It still looked brand new. It literally
Yeah.
still looked brand new. I mean, it was a good part, and again, so we hadn't, we had backup heads for Rory, but in that time, Rory still found certain levels of performance in QI 35, which actually made him switch both at Bay Hill and again in Canada. Canada, the
Right.
spec was a little was an experiment. So that I would say was just an
Yeah.
experiment that that
Yeah.
that,
I
that
remember
didn't
that.
didn't
Yeah.
pay off. But I'd say he drove the ball pretty good at Bay Hill. But then he's also, Rory's the type of guy that, he he likes his driver and his fairway woods to all kind of blend and match. And if the QI 35 fairway woods were so hot for him, that's a great product. But when you
Oh my
give
God. Yeah.
when you get yeah, it's and when you look at the counts on tour and how many people are using these products, when Rory hit the QI 35 fairway wood for the first time, I mean this thing went 320.
Yeah.
And again, it's for him, again, he likes the set to match, and he's using QI 10 fairway woods. So for him, again, a great. And then the other one, right, Johnny, and just I I believe that you would completely understand this. Rory McIlroy made a golf ball switch this year,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I
that's
wrote an article. I wrote an article on it. Yeah. No.
that you how many players would you recommend making a golf ball switch and a driver switch at the same time? Zero.
Zero. Yeah. Zero.
Zero.
That's insane. I mean, I think what's interesting also, and this is modern day golf, right?
Yeah.
So you said something interesting about drivers living close to each other, because Callaway had the same thing. Like, make no
Yeah.
mistake, AI Smoke and Elite were very, very close. That doesn't mean, it doesn't mean they're not different, but
Yeah.
from a tour perspective, there's a reason why Xander Schoffley is still in the AI Smoke. It's not because
Mhm.
Elite's not very good. It's because he's got two majors and a bunch of success and a bunch of trust and a bunch of mileage with this head that he knows works for him
Yeah.
specifically, right? And Rory and Scotty and those guys are the same. And like, what's interesting is, and this is a tour thing. This is legitimately a tour thing, and maybe like a high level amateur. Like, I could throw
Yeah.
I could throw Stu Hagstead in this because he's like this too.
Loves
Some of
Stu.
these,
Loves Stu.
yeah, but some of these guys just like, he's, he played TaylorMade stuff for a while, but we had him, like, I got him into a Paradigm head like 3 years ago, and for whatever reason, the head just where he still plays it to this day. Like, he guards it with his life, right? Because that's like, because and he's hit stuff from all different companies, and he's hit it further and he's hit it better. But for whatever reason, when he gets on the golf course, he just knows what this one does. And I think because golf equipment is covered so in depth now from schmucks like me and Brath and Tursky and Wall, and we're all talking about it all the time. The thing that gets lost is the fact that these guys are playing for millions of dollars, and it's not always about, some guys don't want new performance. Some guys just want what they have,
Mm.
what they know they can win with. And I can imagine, I don't know Scotty very well, but I could see him being the type of player that's like, if you said, hey, like, this one's going to go 10 yards further, um, blah, 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 blah. And he might go, yeah, that's great. I'll try it out. Like, he's not going to jump. He's not going to jump at it
No.
just to hit it
No.
further. Like, he's going to be like,
A
yeah,
real
but
like
yeah,
a very very old old head on young shoulders, that they call it,
yeah,
right? And he's but don't get me wrong, he doesn't rest on what he has. He has no like allegiance to his bag and his equipment, because
right,
if he found something, this is where, when you start to get into, even the QI 35 wood that he plays more than half the time.
right.
Um, I mean, that was not an easy feat, mate. That was to get him
Yeah, how, yeah, that was a
to
wild,
get that round
thing.
his head, that hold on a second here, this could really make the game easier for you, right? I'll tell you that all started when I flew from Dubai. This is a year ago. I flew from Dubai to Amex. I just, I think Tommy just won. He beat Rory. They played in the that Dubai Invitational,
Yeah,
and then that moved on to, and it's got, so Rory and Tommy was set with the new product. They were nice and comfortable. I needed to get to Amex in the desert to continue to work with Scotty to make sure he was comfortable. So that I get there, and me and Scotty do some work on the range. This is driver and just fairway would work, and then we head off onto the golf course to play 9 holes. He's playing with Sam Burns and JT, um, and we're doing work. He's testing the driver, whatever, hitting it great. Um, and we every time we get to like a par five, or we get to a shot off a tee, and JT pulls out his 5 wood, or they pull out one of these high lofted fairway woods, and it's like the ball just starts moon high, and
right.
so Teddy and I would be like, you know, if you used a 5 wood, we would talk about it like a 5 wood in those days. You could hit that shot quite easily, and
Right,
straight away he would pull out his 3 iron, and he'd just hit this moon ball with his 3 iron,
right.
boom, onto the green, and he'd go what, like that, and it'd be like,
Yeah,
yeah, like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty, and this is him. So you talk, and this will come out as Scotty Scheffler's career, and like takes shape, and really evolves and stuff. He's funny, man. He's got a
yeah,
great personality, mate. A great personality. He's extremely likable inside, like when you in his circles, and it's really good fun on the golf course. But nothing's like he's the CEO. He's the leader of his. He's the boss of his team, and he trusts us, and the communication and the is very open. So in that situation, now that you can fast forward a whole year now
Right.
to Torrey Pines, where the rough is just so brutal, and he then walks onto the truck. So that was so the Genesis obviously moved this. So there was Torrey Pines, and then the
Right.
Genesis tournament moved to Torrey Pines.
That's
So
right.
Scotty didn't play in the first Torrey Pines event.
Right. Well,
Uh,
unfortunately, nobody plays in that one anymore.
I know, man, what an amazing
It's
golf course.
sad. I know it's
But
sad.
but because of that event, the the chatter and the talk around the tour and the caddies was that you cannot play this golf course without a high lofted fairway wood. You are
Okay.
giving up shots, and Teddy knew this. I mean, and then we'll get into. I know this is turning into a Scottie Scheffler special, but
No, that's what this show's
but
about. Like the guy just wanted. Yeah, this is a Scotty
yeah,
show. This
it's
is
turning
exactly
into
what we're
that,
talking
and
about.
there's a lot of but I can, and we'll I'll say something in a minute here, but Teddy knew this, and so for Scotty to turn up when he turns up to the tournament, he doesn't even go to the range. He just goes straight into the truck. We go upstairs. We now have a meeting.
Okay.
He goes, I think I need a 5 wood. Teddy's like, yeah,
Yeah,
like,
game on.
come on,
Yeah,
keep going, keep
yeah.
talking, keep going. Tell him what you need. Tell him what you need. Um, and I was like, and then then you get into like the details. How far do you want it to go? What do you need it for? Um, what are you going to take out the bag?
Right.
All these things. And this is, and I said to him, great, perfect. 5 wood's going to go too far. Um, and what weight shaft do you want? Because obviously, you play an 80 gram in your 3 wood. Um, do you want the same feels? How can I get this? And then he goes, no, I just, I need a 5 wood. So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to build you a 5 wood and I'm going to build you a 7 wood. Uh, Now we've got those two options, and I'm going to build you 80 gram and 90 gram because I know that when you get into a 7 wood and you start making these clubs really short, I really like the idea of adding weight to the
Right.
shafts because
Yeah, just give it a little bit more
yeah, and
meatiness to it. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of tipping the shaft any more than a couple of inches really.
Right.
So that was important to me to have these options, and then as we move from there, um, we go onto the range. 2 shots with the 5 wood. He says, this goes too far. I said, I know.
Okay. Yeah.
That I can put
Yeah.
loft on it, but now as I put loft on it, that face angle is going to shut.
Face
It's
starts
going to go
going into
left.
it.
We're
Yeah.
gone. Try this 7 wood. Now I've got 7 wood, 2 weighted shafts. And if you've ever hit a 7 wood for the first time, there's two things you realize. This thing goes straight, this thing goes high, and
Right.
this thing keeps landing right next to
Like
the
this.
previous ball that I hit.
Right.
And again, it's like you have to do it to actually see it. But there's so many moments that I've had on tour, and there's so many of these clubs in play now where I've you do your homework, you do your prep, you get your spec right, and you hand the club to the guy, and you just know exactly what this thing's going to do. It's going to,
Right.
it's going to go. It's going to be a 230 yard pitching wedge,
Right.
or whatever, yeah, whatever number you want. So he
I
needed
mean,
it to go.
really quickly, think about this, AD, really quickly, and I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you keep going. How
Yeah,
many times this year have you and I, either for an article I'm writing or just you and I just bullshitting like this, how many times have we talked about 7 woods and 9 woods this year?
I
Like
mean, a
multiple
million
times,
times.
multiple times about this guy doing this and this guy doing that. Okay, keep going. But this is I just it just hit me. I'm
Yeah,
like,
so
God,
so so
we've
that's
talked about this all year. Okay, keep going.
fast forward to I think the club was going 3 yards further than his 3 iron. So that again, that was a problem.
Right,
So we squeezed a little bit of loft onto it, and onto the golf course we go. He found himself in the rough. I think so. Could it be? It must be the back nine. Anyways, it's long. There's a long par 3 down the left side of the property. The next hole is just a brutal long hole.
That is 11.
Is that?
Is it
Yeah,
11?
it's back
11.
nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 11.
Hits it into the right rough, takes his 4-iron, hits it out. It goes about 30 yards, takes the 7-wood out, drops another ball in there, same life, boom. All of a sudden, ball's in the air. It's gone 180. Like
Sold.
in the bag. Yeah, sold in the
Right.
bag. And then to that point, he's still the week before the Byron Nelson. Um, and this is where I want to get into to just something else that I want to say here is we still tweaked the lie angle. So he was still dialing it in as far as up until the week before the week of the Byron Nelson, where he shot 30 under par, whatever it was to
Right.
where and that the reason for that is like when Scotty Scheffler tests equipment. So if I fly to Dallas, and we're going to do some equipment work on the range, or we get the truck out there, it's not just me and Scotty. It never is.
Right.
Randy's there, Blake's there,
Ted's there. Yeah.
Teddy's there. You know, so with that lie with getting that 7-wood right with the lie angle, that wasn't me who made that call. That was Randy.
Okay.
Randy said, within 2 shots of hitting this thing, there's something different happening here. This thing needs to be half a degree more upright. Yes, Randy. Boom, on the truck, bend it. How's that? Perfect. Randy,
And that's
thank
all
you.
based on
So yeah,
that's all based on Randy seeing start lines or whatever and say this thing's probably
just
starting a little bit too far
swings,
right,
just
whatever.
swing
Yeah.
movements, everything, right?
Right.
Randy's he's an exceptional. He's an exceptional ear and eye when it comes to Scottie Scheffler's equipment, apart from everything else. If you switch the whole conversation around and start getting into this putter, which is
That's a
again
whole nother that's a
yeah,
whole nother
yeah,
podcast. That's what that
yeah.
is.
Phil Kenyon, it played a huge role in getting him in figuring out what he felt was going to be best for us to entertained Scotty with, right?
Right.
And hats off to him. So there's a team aspect, yeah, and then you move to like the in-house team at TaylorMade, who are absolutely world class. I think the most underrated and under talked about department in golf at the highest level is TaylorMade's putter department.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, especially now. I mean, like again, because I've seen the inside of the machine. Working for Callaway for so long, and you don't realize how much value the putter programs really have. I mean, because when you get on a tour range, it's all drivers and irons and all the stuff like that. It's the putter stuff is where a lot of the I guess the nuance work happens. Like if I'm thinking about James on your truck or like
Mhm.
Cody or whatever, the amount of work that they have to do. I don't want to say to get something ready, but to get it right, like to get it to where the play, because it's a serious amount of trust that's involved, especially when you're making a
Yeah,
putter switch that Scotty did. Scotty went from a Scotty Camera Newport 2
yeah,
into a mallet. And on top
yeah,
of that, he went from going conventional to putting claw. So like like Phil made him into a different human being, essentially on the
yeah,
greens. And like I said, that to me, that's a whole other podcast. I mean, the
yeah.
spider thing to me is like a completely different show because that's a rabbit hole. The
Yeah,
the
so
putter,
it's
yeah.
essentially like, and that's the thing is like if I mean, I get tons and tons of questions on putters, and I thought I knew a lot about putters, but if I pick up the phone and I phone Joe Ryan in our putter department and I just brainstorm a couple of things that a player has said to me, I mean, this guy is an encyclopedia on variations and ways to check a box
Right.
with the player's needs. It's exceptional, and I would say I'm only learning that over probably the last kind of 12 to 18 months. But he's making the difference for us on tour where we are a real player in that category right now and going forward. But essentially with Scotty, you know, what Phil Kenyon helped Scotty obviously technically and as from a coach's lane. Um, but in my work with Phil and Scotty, which I don't think is well documented, I would go as far to say as Phil Kenyon gave Scotty Scheffler the best putter fitting that I've ever seen.
Well, what I think Phil did, I was going to put he taught him how to aim, essentially. I feel like he taught Scotty a new way to aim the putter, and he gave him some new tools
You say that, mate. You say that. I mean, I think that you could probably argue that point. I've walked.
Yeah, you would know more. This is me from
I've
35,000
walked.
feet.
I've walked hundreds and hundreds of holes with Scotty Scheffler.
Right.
In a practice round, right? When the caddy, right, goes onto the green and he's got these discs which are these size of a hole, and he
Yeah.
puts it in different pin positions all around the green. Um, so I've walked hundreds of holes with so many different tour players. I've never seen, and this is before Scotty Scheffler in a Spider and
Right.
after, right? I
Okay.
have never seen a player hit that cup, that fake hole, more than I have Scotty Scheffler. I mean, it is phenomenal. I've never, you look at
You mean after Spider or before or the whole time?
the whole time, the
Okay.
whole
Okay.
time. This
Okay.
guy can, putt, mate. This guy has got a feel for the greens and pace and line like no tomorrow. Or what he's been given a tool that helps him do it more often, and a structure and a technique that helps him do it under pressure. Um,
Interesting.
it's
Okay.
I mean, I tell you now, and if you're ever around Teddy, I'd love you to ask Teddy, like even, but it's funny that because you even say, me and Teddy laugh about this, but like we'll stand on the side of a green and then Scotty will be chipping around the green from different spots, and we're looking at each other and we're like, I can't believe how good this guy chips. I can't believe, and then he'll get on the green, and we're like, wow, that was impressive. And that's the thing is like there's a difference between preparation and getting ready for a tournament, and then once the gun goes off, and I think once a player kind of blends that, and I feel like Scotty's is as good as you can get at the moment at doing that.
Right.
Um, the sky's the limit. I mean, you talk. I know we've spoken about Rom a little bit here, but I've walked practice rounds with John Rom where I've looked at Adam and gone, did we just? I mean, this guy's just played 9 holes, and he's kicked the ball into the hole 7 times, like literally from a foot, like just like he's
Yeah. Well,
he's
yeah. I mean, I can say the same thing. I mean, I've had multiple times when I've gotten home from a tournament on a Tuesday or Wednesday, having just walked, because I walked with Rom basically every day for 2.5, 3 years before he went to live, and again, I've had days with him for 9 holes.
so
Like I remember at Valhalla, for example, and we'll move on to a new topic because I don't want to keep you forever, but
yep.
Valhalla, he played a practice round with Phil and Andy Ogletree and somebody else. I forget who it was. And I swear to God, on the back nine of Valhalla, I think Rom was 8 under. I think he beat Phil like 6 ways in a game, and I think he missed the cut at Valhalla. But I'm sitting there looking at Hayes and I'm looking at Koski, and I'm just going, if this guy doesn't win by 20, I don't know anything about golf. Like I know nothing about golf.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, okay, I have a question, but that was really interesting insight into what you just said about Scotty, because like my perception of his putting, which I don't study like I do his ball striking. Like I really dig into his ball striking stats, and I remember a couple of years ago when he was really struggling. I'll put it in quotes with the
Mhm.
putter. He just wasn't making anything. One of the things that people were discussing of why you would, I'll put it this way: I know why players would go to a Stephen Sweeney or a Phil Kenyon. Like I know
Mhm.
typically what happens. It's never stroke stuff. It's never your stroke. It's can you aim? Can you read greens? Is your
Structure,
speed right? It's
structure.
structure, 100%. Like so, modern putting coaches, just for the folks at home, there's no stroke coaches anymore. It's literally aim, pre-shot routine, where your eyes are, it's the little
Mm.
foundational stuff before you even actually hit a putt that actually kind of matters. In my like that's what I see anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but some of it's stroke, obviously,
Well,
but for the most,
I think the problem with golf is that you just can't generalize like that, and for because there's so many players in the field.
right,
But I think what, not to speak for you, yeah, but I think what you're saying is without that structure, without that stuff, you know you're you can't have a good stroke. You can't
right,
have a
you're
lot of
running,
a lot going for you and be
you're running
consistent
uphill.
over a long
Yeah,
period of time. Yeah, and you
yeah,
look at like Justin Rose, his stroke maintenance is phenomenal.
hmm
And that's something that makes him tick. And you you see when it clicks for him. I mean, this guy he can hold everything.
Well, even
Um,
you could say the same thing about Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood's stroke, if you look at it, is phenomenal. Like, and he works hard
yes.
on his. You know that better than anybody. I mean, he works very,
Oh
very hard
yeah.
on his putting, and when he's putting good, the hole looks like it's this big.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Pause in. Pause in.
yeah, it's unbelievable. But because he hits it so well most of the time, he's got a lot of 15, 20 footers for birdie, and those are hard to make. Like 10% of those go in. So
Yeah.
I think for somebody like, and we won't stay too long on this topic, but for somebody like Tommy or even Scotty, a lot of those guys, because they're such
Mhm.
great ball strikers, it's hard to figure out if you're putting good or bad. It's that you're hitting 14 greens around. Like you just got a lot of birdie looks, and not all of them
Yeah.
are
I
going to
think
go in. So it's a mental thing.
look, there is a look. The strokes gained putting measurable is a very unforgiving stat.
Yes, it is.
It's a
Yeah,
very, so you do, and these guys know, and your Sweeneys and your Kenyans, they know it. They can break it down, and they can kind of tell you if how you're doing and how you're trending, not
right.
purely based on the number that it says. But when somebody's, I think one way that you can certainly measure it is someone who is 130th in putting, and then
Right.
all of a sudden he's, for a season,
Right.
and then you look at them and they're 30th in putting or 40th in putting for a
And then and
season.
then then
That's
then they
that.
then they go to then that same player, Scotty Scheffler, goes to like 10th. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and
you know what I mean?
that to me is like, and if you
Yeah.
look at the stats and you look at the accolades and the green jackets and the claret jugs and stuff, your
Yeah.
validation is pretty clear, pretty
Okay.
clear.
So okay, we're almost time's up. So I have two questions. One is really quick answer. QI10 Fairy Woods.
Yes,
Okay, three woods. It's won every major this year. It's won the Grand Slam.
I love
The
it.
QI10.
So did Rory.
Yeah, yeah. So did Rory. Really quickly, and this isn't, it's all TaylorMade stuff. What is so great specifically about that head?
Out
Like
that
why does
head.
that one work so well? Like Scotty's in it, JJ spawned one with it, Rory used it. Like what's the deal?
So a solid bonded head, clean black, look to it.
Right. Bigger platform, so it's got,
Twist face, which I believe is extremely, extremely beneficial in a fairway wood.
fairway wood. Yes, agreed.
Extremely, and I think
Better in a
you know,
fairway than it is a driver. It's more practicality in a 3-wood or a 5-wood than even a driver. I would say, this is me talking. You don't have to say that, but that's my opinion.
I'd agree with you. If you're talking it about, like, if somebody asked you, you know, you can only have twist face in one product, where you're going to put it, I would put it in a fairway wood.
Fairway
It's
wood, yeah.
because there are now 100 fairway woods in play at every major is going to stay that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But like, back to the product, and so let's take the PGA Championship for example. There were 35 or 36 QI 10 fairways. There were 37 QI 35s, and the rest was, a mix of other, kind of, call it legacy TaylorMade product. The 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 QI 10 fairway wood really does work for the player who wants a really neutral fairway wood. So when I say very neutral, I would say, if somebody came to me and said, "Gee, I'm looking for," you look at like Tommy Fleetwood, right? He plays driver, mini driver, 5 wood. Moves into his, maybe 9 wood, and then 4 iron and down, right? So he's got this gap between this mini driver and this 5 wood. So when we worked earlier in the year, and I gave him a QI 35 5 wood in the exact same spec, the club spun 300 to 400 less. It had a mile more ball. It had mile more ball speed, and it covered that gap so perfectly in the same spec. And he's used that 5 wood all year. And go and look at his highlights, and you see how many times that club has really worked for him off the tee. Now that same situation with a Rory. I mean, you look at, like, if I gave you the background of how we even got Scottie Scheffler into a TaylorMade fairway wood, we initially needed to take 20 yards off this club.
Right.
That was in the stealth fairway woods. That you
Right.
needed this fairway wood to go 275, and from heavier shafts to shorter length to fractions of loft. We needed to do that. So I think what I'm saying here is a lot of players have found this nice balance of distance, accuracy, spin control, and they've found it in this QI 10 fairway wood.
Right.
It's not high.
Which is very hard to find, by the way, especially out on tour with a fairway wood. It's hard to find
Exactly.
one that does it all really,
Yeah.
really well. Yeah.
Really neutral. It's not spinny, but it's not
Right.
hot. I think when
Right.
you fit it properly, which these guys have ample time to get it right. And then I would also stress that, like, it's, if a guy's got a QI 10 3 wood and 5 wood, and he wants the 7 wood, it's going to want the QI 10 7 wood,
Right.
and vice versa. So I think a lot of guys who played a QI 10 3 wood, and they don't use a 5 wood or whatever, they went into the QI 35 3 wood quite easily, because it's an easy fit, where you just add a little bit of loft, because
Right.
the club's pretty low
It's
spin.
hotter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you've got a 3 wood that launches higher, doesn't spin up, and you get a extra 5 or 6 yards out of it. It's a 3 wood dream, right? But when you
Right.
when you're playing multiple, so a lot of players don't want their 5 wood to go 1 yard further.
Right.
It's a very, very specific yardage precision club, because they're not only hitting that yardage with the 5 wood, they're hitting draws, they're hitting fades, they hitting it out
Right.
the rough. So I think it's different strokes for different folks, and but I'm very, like, when you look at TaylorMade and you look at our categories across the board,
You guys dominate in
driver,
fairway woods. Yeah.
and at the Open there were 19 mini drivers in play, 19 mini drivers. And
God almighty.
18 mini drivers, 14 of them were R7s. So much weight to move around. Unbelievable club to fit. I mean, it's the best. It's a fitter's dream with all that weight to move around. But
Right.
that's, and those are. And I would say we had about 10 staff players in the field at the Open, and only 3 of them played a mini driver, which means that the other 15 mini drivers were all played
Or
by free guys. Yeah.
non-steppers. Yeah.
Three guys. Great title.
Wow. 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 I didn't see
Yeah.
that. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's a podcast in itself, man, because this
That
is
is a
some
well.
piece of equipment.
That's the thing with you. I'm going to have to bring you back on because we're just covering Scotty right now. We haven't talked about Tommy. We haven't talked about Rory. I mean, there's so much more stuff to talk about. But I do want to say something,
Yeah.
and I kind of give you a shout out on Instagram because we're going to wrap this up so you can go live your life. We figured out yesterday, you and I on the phone, that as far as major championships are concerned, the bags that you've been responsible for, that was major number 10, but you have 10.75 because you have like 2/3 or 3/4 of somebody else's bag. But theoretically, just to level it out, that was
Yeah.
your 10th major championship that you could say
Okay.
those were my
10
sticks.
majors. That's pretty cool.
That is a
That's pretty cool.
wild
Yeah.
number. That is a wild. But then you started rattling off, and you got two Players Championships, two Olympic gold medals. Like,
Yeah. I
so
mean, and
it.
FedEx Cups and Race to Dubai.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question, and don't say being a dad or whatever, but like professionally, because
Yeah.
I've covered you. I've written articles around. I
Mm.
mean, you and I have done so much work together. It's not even funny. But one thing I've
That,
never asked you
that,
is like, if you could look back on your career,
hmm
what brings you the most joy, Adrian? Like, what is it? Is it winning major championships? Is it solving a problem for somebody that's for a player you care about? Like, what brings you the most joy in your job? I've never asked you that. Like, what
I
what is
think
it that
that's
like
it's certainly changed over the years. I think as I've gotten older and more experienced in my line of work,
right,
um, I would say that the when you work on a task with a team of people, and that could be that could be in just in a given week, and like I'll bring up Tommy Fleetwood here at the Travelers.
right,
You know, I worked with Tommy and Finno, and Corey Johnson helped out a lot as well. You know, we worked as a team of people to get him. You know, he played a new driver that week. He played a new mini
right.
driver that week.
Yeah,
So
that was the week you switched into all the TR stuff, right? All the
yes,
TR blue
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
So you're looking at and you know
yeah.
and I'll even give Fuji Pat a shout out, yeah, because he was so now so you asked me what brings me the most joy, and I would say it's working collectively with a team of people with the goal of helping a player find what he needs, and then he goes
Have it be
on.
successful.
He goes on and has success using it, and your work as a team played a key role in that player doing that. And I think that's happening more and more often these days, um, because I'm not like I have tons of relationships out there. I have tons of trust from a lot of players over whatever 15 years of doing this. But I
Right,
am certainly always growing, and I ain't scared to ask for some advice or help. No one's gonna fill my boots, you know what I mean? I don't, no one's
right.
gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can. Even you, mate. Even I even even coming to you and going, what do what do you think of this? He's between a 9 head and a 10-5, and this is he can play either. But why would you play one or the other? I think like down to the smallest questions like that. But yeah, that's my answer, and I'm sticking with it, mate. It's working together with my team, and finding what we need to win. I mean, it happened
Do you know
with
what?
Scotty's putter. It happened with Scotty's putter, and that was, that's still
That's
it's a
that's a
gift.
big.
The gift that keeps on giving. I think it's
Yeah, it is. The Scotty Leprechaun is a big deal. And you know what's funny? And I'll end with this, like, because you and I have been buddies since 2018, I think was when we met. Whatever, or 2019, Colin
yeah,
Morikawa's first tournament. So
Canadian
it's been
Open.
6 years, 7 years, whatever it's been. Like, for the people at home that have never met Adrian, I will say this about you, my friend. After everything that's happened to you and around you over the last 6 years, because it's been a lot, It has been a
Yeah.
lot. Like, the tides have shifted. You have not changed. You're still the same AD that I met on the first day that I met you, that you are today on July 22nd, 2025. You have not changed 1 inch. You're still the same
Thank
dude.
you.
So, which for me, as as somebody I consider us to be pretty close, like it makes me happy to know that, like, that some things never change. Like, that's just, like, you're still AD,
Yeah, we have
and
some good fun, man.
yeah, it's fun.
Thank you,
So
mate.
you got it. I'm gonna have to bring you back on the show. This was an interesting one, though, for the gearheads. Like, if you want to know the inside of kind of like how these guys think, this is Adrian gave us quite a bit today. So
It's amazing how the time flies, mate. Like we've spoken here for what an hour and 15 minutes or something like that,
yeah, and
and
we've
I
only
mean,
covered
literally,
Scottie
this
Scheffler.
this
We only
feels like
Scotty.
it feels like we've been talking for 10 minutes. We
Yeah,
love it. We love it.
we covered we covered one player.
We're
Um,
such golf nerds.
yeah, I know. AD, thank you for coming on the show. That is fully equipped. You can find Adrian at Adrian Rietveld on Instagram. He's there. He's all over my IG. You'll find him on there. He's there. Um, but my friend, I'll see you next week at. You're going to be at Sedgefield, right?
Wyndham, yeah, I'll go
Yeah,
there.
I will see you there. But thanks for coming on fully equipped. And we will definitely have you back on. But next time we'll do it in person. It's a little bit easier. But
Awesome,
you're the
mate.
best.
Thank you, mate. You
You
too.
got it.
You too. You
All right,
certainly
fully
are, mate.
equipped. We are out of here.